I feel like I'm on a constant mission to like reclaim my inner child, whether that's through art or how I see the world, positivity, how I connect with people. I just think the most valuable part that I've taken from that, from my inner child, is like just, I think, the lack of self-consciousness, which is so, it's the hardest thing.
Yeah. Thank you to our presenting sponsor, Peloton. Let yourself run, lift, flow, and go. Explore the new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com. GVP.
Hi, Monica.
Grace Van Patten. Welcome to Reclaiming. I am so happy to have you here.
Me too.
Just excited to talk about all the things. And it was funny because I was thinking about that basically I could just talk for the hour about how much I love you and how talented you are. But I figured that might not be super interesting for other people.
No, I think you should do that. That's so sweet. Thank you.
No, it's true. You know, we got to know each other really from you portraying Amanda Knox in our show, The Twisted Tale of Amanda Knox.
Yes.
On Hulu.
On Hulu
That
now.
Amanda and I executive produced, created by KJ Steinberg,
Yes.
right?
And you're the reason for all of that. So thank you.
So the Twisted Tale of Amanda Knox and, you know, our other partners at Hulu and 20th Television and Warren Littlefield, the Littlefield Company. And it's just, even though I have a lot of Gen X friends who watch Tell Me Lies religiously. I am not cool. So I had not really seen it, but I had seen you hold your own in these amazing scenes against like big deal actors, you know, Michael Shannon and Nicole Kidman and Adam Sandler and so many things. And you just, you know, from the moment I saw you on screen and then the moment we met, you just have this, way of connecting with people. And I think both being special, but also feel familiar. So it was really exciting to work on this project with you.
It was the best. I have to say, thank you for saying that. That means a lot. I've never been so fearful of doing something.
Okay.
I've never been so just scared to approach something like that. One, because I just get fearful when I'm really passionate about something because I want to do a good job. But every person I met along the way, you, Warren, KJ, Amanda, like each person just eased my nerves more and more and made me feel so safe and comfortable to do this thing, which I'm so grateful for, because that's everything. When you're tackling anything that you care about, to feel safe is like number one.
Yeah.
Number one, to feel trusted and safe.
Yeah, exactly. And that's not just acting.
No.
That's really everything we step into in life. That's interesting. So you were not even born in 1998 when I was shit
2.
happened. Oh, you were 2.
2.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how old were you then? Don't make me do math. So if you know
Don't make me do math.
Yeah. I'm like, how old were you when Amanda's like?
I was like 11.
Okay.
Yeah.
And were you aware of her story at the time?
I remember because my first insight into really what happened was the Netflix documentary when I was older, but I knew her name. It was just everywhere that Amanda Knox was engraved in my mind as some person that I had heard a lot about but didn't know the details. So when I watched the documentary, I think in 2015 or 16 is when I really learned about it and could not believe it.
Yeah.
I've told this story already, but I called my agents right away. It was like I had just started acting professionally, and I called them and said, is there anything being made about Amanda Knox? I find her so fascinating and would love to be a part of something.
Yeah.
Or play her, and I it was just a feeling I had, which is so crazy.
That is so interesting. I knew you had been connected to her story, but I didn't know that you had called your agents and said that.
And they were like, no,
Can you say what you've called them to ask them about if there are other
if there are other like real
are there other roles you're manifesting?
There was a time where I asked them about like a Courtney Love biopic.
Oh, that's interesting.
That I was curious about. And then certain books sometimes I'll ask, but I feel like Amanda was kind of the only person where I was like, I want to play her.
Yeah, I think what can be really fascinating about these stories and sitting on the side where Amanda does of having been a subject of one of these stories, that you really, like, you have your own experiences, but then you come to understand how the story's situated in society and how it impacted people, right? So, you're 11, you're a few years away from, college age or being her age. And I think for me, I've heard from so many women from 98 what happened of just being impacted by how they saw their own sexuality, what it meant to be a young woman growing up. And so I think that in many ways, Amanda was one of those people. I mean, we're starting to see more, I think, right? Britney Spears and a lot of other young women who were, and Lindsay Lohan, like, catapulted, whether by choice or not, onto the world stage in a way that they hadn't anticipated or chosen in some ways. Even I think people like Britney and Lindsay Lohan of stepping into this, they were performers.
Yeah.
That's not exactly what you bargained for, to become a sort of sexual poster child for older people. So it's just,
people forget how young Britney Spears was during that time too, which is wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're so right. It as a woman watching another woman go through something like that, whether that's you or Amanda or Britney Spears, it really puts a lot of things into perspective. And like anything, I think it's just an innate woman empathy. You see a woman going through something and you think, what would I, how crazy and unimaginable that would be if it was me.
Right.
And that's how I felt about Amanda every day of working on that. It was like I was just constantly reminded that this could have happened to anybody, to me, to my sister, to my friend, like, and that was so trippy to think about and surreal to think about.
Did you find going into the role, or while you were, in it, and you were so in it, because I mean, you were in almost every scene of this show, and you also learned Italian for it. And because we didn't shoot in order, it meant that you might have a day where you're in one scene where you know very little Italian and another scene where you're incredibly proficient. Yeah. But which must have been so hard.
It was nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
But I feel like they were aware of how difficult that could be, and they really did plan it in a way that the first few months were mostly scenes where I didn't know Italian that well, and through that time I could learn it as much as possible.
Yes.
So
yeah.
The big speeches were at the end, all of that. Thank goodness I had time.
Yeah. Thank you, Kathy Sirik.
Yeah, I know. Thank you, Kathy. Seriously.
And the directors and everything. Yeah. Just from the producer side, it was so important to everyone that you feel safe and you feel held and comfortable in all the ways that we could.
And it's rare. It's like you'd think that would be a common thing, but I think it's rare that, I think it's common in this business, like it's a very, for what seems and what we hope to be a very collaborative job, it can kind of end up in a every man for himself type of way in a lot of things I've been a part of. Right. And you kind of get used to that in a way. And so when you feel like someone is just being thoughtful, it really means a lot.
Well, I think it's a very heavy story, you know, and so I think to have, when you step out and you look, a 20-year-old young woman goes to Italy, doesn't know the language very well, is wrongfully convicted, in prison for 4 years, then Nightmare. Exonerated and still contends with not being totally free. And the darkness that this really the seed of all of this was Meredith's horrible murder. And so, I mean, there's a lot of darkness in this. And I think we all wanted, not just for you, but for everyone on the show, the writers in the room. I mean, there's a recognition of the heaviness of what you're holding when it's real people.
Yeah.
Did you feel a responsibility, a different kind of responsibility, because Amanda's a real person and this was a real...
Yeah, of course. I have never played a real person before. I'd always wanted to. It definitely came with a pressure. Pressure seems negative to me, but yeah, a duty to do justice to the story and to Amanda.
Yeah.
But really all that did is make me work harder and think more about it in a way that maybe I wouldn't pay as much attention to detail if I wasn't playing a real human. And that has taught me so much, because I want to bring that to every character I do, even if they are not living in the world as a human, but like treat them as if they are. Because it brings so much more nuance and specificity to each character, I feel like.
Yeah. Journey Smollett was on recently, and it was an amazing episode. And she was talking about just sort of the depth of character building that one does, and trying to understand all the ways that a character might move through the world. That is sort of interesting.
I want to listen to that. I'm always curious to hear people talk, 'cause there's so many, there's no right or wrong way to do it, and there's a million ways.
Right. So I found, I'm curious, just, younger generation. There was so much that I was surprised by in Amanda's story. Did you find yourself, like, even having seen the doc and whatever you had known about her, first been intrigued by her story, did you also find,
surprising moments? Absolutely. I mean, I feel like every day, just from reading the scripts or speaking to her, I mean, the mere facts of the case are shocking.
Yeah.
Like, I knew there was no evidence. Like, I had heard there was no evidence, but I didn't know there was zero evidence.
Yeah.
Like, that is so crazy to me.
Yeah.
And all the details of the trials and the actual interrogation, heartbreaking, tragic surprises. Yeah. But I feel like the biggest surprise I've spoken about is just her attitude in present day.
Yeah. No, amazing.
Yeah, it's like what we were talking about. We look at these people who go through these things, and I can't imagine being in a situation like that. And then I meet somebody like you or Amanda who have had this public scrutiny, and both of you, I speak about this all the time. The fact that you are able to maintain positivity and hope for the world, and you both are so extremely strong and confident women, and did not let this bad thing that happened to you defeat you. And that was the most inspiring thing I got out of the whole thing.
Thanks, Grace.
It really is. I'm in awe of that. I
think it was a really important part of why we wanted to tell the story. That sort of the micro is specifically Amanda, and her deserving for her story to be revisited in these ways. But the macro is hope for other people, hope for other young women.
Yeah.
Looking at, sort of reflecting back to people once again. Okay, this is what we do to young women on the global stage in a negative scenario, and so that's I think so much importance of storytelling, that is in that way. But it's interesting too when you talk about the responsibility feeling, because Beanie Feldstein was on, and she had, played me in Ryan Murphy's impeachment. Yes. And so that, she too felt that sense, that added weight of just, holding someone's history in their hands and in that way, which is interesting.
How much did you guys talk throughout that process? Was it more of like an after the fact thing, or was it kind of consistent?
I think what's interesting is I feel like the show in general, there were so many things that were somewhat anomalies because it was filmed during COVID.
Oh,
So,
I didn't know that.
yeah.
Oh,
It was,
wow.
yeah. So it meant, and Beanie had sensitivities to that too, like ways that she needed to be extra careful. So we Zoomed a good amount, and we spent one time, it's like we spent a few hours over Zoom. I brought out my big box of photos of just like from childhood and just because I felt like that was a more organic way for me to storytell.
Yeah.
And just for her to get a sense of my relationships with my family or friends, or from that time frame of, this was me in college just a few months before I, went off. Right. Here I am drunk, graduation night. That was the first time I had a pot brownie was on I went to college in Portland, Oregon too. So like the fact that I had not smoked pot, I was super late. And the best part of it was that I didn't know that they were laced with pot. And so I don't even know that's the right way to say it. I'm such a loser. But I was like, oh, these brownies are really good. And I had 3.
Oh, God.
And so it was just, it was
I had
a
similar experience.
Awful. What happened?
I ate a brownie before a school field trip that I also didn't know. And all these kids were eating brownies. And I'm like, why are all the cool kids eating brownies before this trip? And I ate one, and it was a field trip to the Museum of Moving Image.
Oh my God.
So I get there and I'm like, like everything's like, there's strobe lights, there's like optical illusions, and I thought I was going to die. I had to call my mom and be like, Mom, I ate a pot brownie. You need to come pick me up. And she did. And my sister was like 2 in the back seat. And I'm like looking at my 2-year-old sister, like, what's going on? So yeah, I've been there.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
It is. So, and I think that it was, what was really important to me too was that Beanie kind of have this, I don't know if I may be able to say it the right way, but it was like for her to have this space to bring what she thought was the emotional truth, to the thing, because it was, while there were a lot of specific details about what happened to me that were really important for people to understand, like Amanda, I mean, I joke, okay, my interrogation was at Ritz-Carlton, but
right,
but still that's scary to be in a hotel room with like 11 fucking men. But, I think that there were these certain details and facts and aspects of the narrative that were really important to me. But what's also important to me was that people kind of try to find their own connection to the story and to what happened to me. And I felt that by her bringing an emotional truth that was true to her, that might resonate with people. Yeah. So I think there's that balance there. But she too felt an enormous responsibility.
Gosh,
it's a bond that kind of never, it never goes away,
Yeah.
Reclaiming is brought to you by Audible. If you're a regular to Reclaiming, you've probably heard me going on about Audible. Well, let me explain why. It's totally transformed my downtime in the best way possible. Because those moments in your day where you can't just rest, like when you're stuck in traffic or folding laundry, listening to Audible has made them so much more enjoyable. No joke, since I started listening on Audible, these little chunks of my day have actually become something I look forward to. For example, the other day, I was just doing my usual Sunday tidying and organizing, which usually drives me crazy, but I barely noticed the time passing because I was so hooked on this incredible audiobook. And as a member, you get access to thousands of included titles, books, podcasts, all that good stuff. So sign up for a free 30-day trial, and your first audiobook is free. Visit audible.com/reclaiming. That's audible.com/reclaiming. So going into acting, you come from this sort of not acting, but Hollywood dynasty, right? So your uncle being in Eight Is Enough, Dick Van Patten, right? Yes. And your dad, Tim Van Patten, an amazing director, right? With Sopranos and another big show. What's the other big show? Shit.
Game of Thrones.
Okay. Game of Thrones, right. So, I mean, did you feel like acting was that was the path that was laid out for you? Did your family try and steer you to a different path, but you just
kept coming back?
Yeah.
I mean, it was something I was really surrounded by. Mm-hmm. And so it felt natural to like ease my way into that. Mm-hmm. But I didn't know that I wanted to do it as a career until I started doing it professionally. It was something I always loved and admired. Mm-hmm. And I just loved movies as a kid and visiting my dad on set and watching actors do their thing. But it really felt like a hobby that I just loved to do in school or whatever until I graduated high school. That's when I was like, I want to try this out.
Okay. You went to the Fame High School, right?
Yes,
okay.
LaGuardia.
So you were interested enough to study there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And how? Yeah. I'm sure this is like a dumb question that probably get asked a lot, but how similar to the TV show?
I mean, it's there. I remember visiting there before I applied, and there literally were kids dancing on the tables.
Oh my gosh.
Like, this is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to go to school here.
Yeah. I'm like, this isn't normal high school.
Right.
But it's like a passion pit of all these young kids who are so in love with this art that they chose to do for 4 years. And there was just so much personality, and it was I really can't imagine going to a regular high school. Like, I don't know what that experience would even be like.
Okay. Do you have things like, I mean, is there sport? Like, is there homecoming and prom?
No homecoming. There's a prom at like the end of senior year.
Okay.
And it was at like the 42nd Street, like Hilton Hotel or something.
Right. Yeah.
Because there's 800 kids. Like,
oh my gosh.
Great.
Okay.
So my senior class is like 800.
Wow.
I knew probably less than half of the kids.
Oh my gosh. I didn't realize it was so big.
Yeah, it's massive.
Oh, how interesting. And are you still in touch with anyone from?
Yeah, all my best friends are like my high school girlfriends.
Okay.
And none of them are in the business anyway.
Interesting.
I mean, yeah. Like, they're all very creative, but they're all in New York still, and they're the best.
With your family?
Yes.
Did you get advice from them, and just in terms of going into the business?
Because my dad is in it, he knows all the scary, unpredictable parts about it. And so I think it was like, you only do this if you really fucking love it. Yeah. Like, it can be really hard if you don't.
I imagine,
and really hard if you do. But the rejection and the unpredictability and just inconsistency. And so they really were like, we fully support if you want to do this. Just, be sure. Mm-hmm. They always gave me the advice of like, let it take you. Like, don't not go to college because you want to be an actor. Don't drop out just because you want to go on auditions. Like, have there be a reason to go. And that's what happened. I got into USC. I was going to go to USC, and I deferred a year because I didn't know if I wanted to continue studying acting or I was like randomly into marine biology at one point. I was like, I want to do the marine biology program and go to Catalina Island every day.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know, and I didn't want to waste time and money studying something I didn't know I wanted to do. So I decided to take a gap year, and I took classes at a community college, just like things I was interested in, random like criminal psychology and philosophy.
I did a law and psych class.
It's so interesting. Yeah. And I was like, I'm probably not going to do that when I go to college. So I just like took things that, I don't know, could maybe scratch an itch or enlighten, I don't know. And then within that year, I met my manager, and she started sending me out on auditions, and I got my first job that went too far into the school year. So I deferred USC again and started working. So it happened in a way that I didn't feel like I gave up everything to try and pursue this. And it happened more naturally, and I tried to see if there were other paths that were worth going down or other things that I was interested in. And I do feel like I was pulled in a direction that I just went with.
What's your method? Like, are you because I mean, I saw you on set.
Yeah.
Right? So I would see you engage in a role and then, you know, you would engage with us as Grace.
Right.
So,
right.
Grace with a little hint of Amanda.
Yeah. 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 Which is probably subconscious.
Right. Okay. So I don't know. Who is it? Isn't it Daniel Day-Lewis? Who
has fully method.
But, right. Exactly. So that's not your.
No. I've never approached it that way. I really don't know. I don't know what my method. I'm like,
okay.
I figure it out with each role. I approach every role kind of differently depending on what it is and what it requires. Like how I approached playing Amanda was something I've never done before. You know, I've never had to research for a role and like really look into, you know, things that existed in the world. It was mostly about creating a human from the ground up. And this was a lot about how I kind of combine meld Amanda and bring myself, like you were saying, like bring my own emotional truth to it, and while still honoring her essence, which was so important because it's a huge part of the story. Her personality was like, she was used against her and was very scrutinized. So that was very important to me to get right. But yeah, it's really different. And I would say the only common thing that I do that's kind of a through line with each role is I really try and envision the world in which the character is living in. Whether that's with music or going to the place where I think they're from, or like creating the world around them first.
Right. So like a felt sense of who they were and where they were and what was impacting them. That's really interesting.
Yeah, what time it is. And
did you find with Amanda that were there parts of yourself that you sort of were able to bring to the role, or you know? So what was that like for you? What did that look like?
I think there are parts of myself that I was totally able to ignite and enhance. It's because it's like so much of like turning up the knobs, turning down the knobs on yourself. And I feel like if you really try, you can connect to anybody in some way. And so to find those common grounds where like I totally have a quirky like theater kid energy in me that like was maybe more enhanced when I was a kid. And it was like bringing out the childlike qualities in me, or the excitable qualities that I totally have, and curiosity, like those traits. I feel like were bumped up a lot while playing.
Yeah, that's
Amanda.
really. And you said something that I've never really thought about this connection before, but about sort of the ability to tap into anyone. It made me think about a psychic, like an intuitive of just that ability to sort of read someone's energy, or to go into their field in a sense. And I don't think I'd really thought about acting that way before. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. I don't know. I like, especially with playing a real person, it's like you're not like other characters I've had to create. I mean, I have the script and what they're saying, but you still have to like create
fill in the blanks.
Yeah, fill in the blanks. And this was a character that was right in front of me and that I had access to, and it was kind of filling in the blanks with her, which was so new to me and really exciting and really nerve-wracking, but like
Did you have like, I'm a big ritual person, right? So I'm sort of, you know, like a bath will signal to me at the end of the day, you know, like those kinds of things. Did you have certain rituals that you had to put in place while working on the show because you were working so much on set and it was so just heavy, you know, that like ways that you felt at the end of the day, okay, I've got to disconnect. Like I'm Grace now. Yeah. You know, that you sort of reclaimed and found yourself again, even if it was going to only be for a few hours until, you know.
it's so weird, like the rituals I get into with each job, because there are rituals that I don't carry through in my everyday life.
Oh, interesting.
Like with Amanda, I was stretching every morning, which I have never done before that and have not done after that.
Okay.
It's probably because I knew I had to do a split at some point. And I was like, shit, I don't know if I can do a split.
Yeah.
So maybe subconsciously I was like,
right.
Get up, stretch.
Yeah, but Amanda's also very much in her body.
She is.
You know,
she's like
so
into yoga and running, and so there was something that I was tapping into there. But after work, I really enjoyed just doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And what gave me comfort was doing some work when I got home, whether that was like learning some Italian, because I get so fearful if I don't work on something, everything's going to like disappear or I'm going to be terrible. So I like spend some time either learning lines or working on Italian. And then there's a pool in the bottom of my building that, again, a thing that I've never done before or after, but I was like swimming laps, and that was the most calming thing.
Yeah. I feel like someone told me at one point, who had been recommending swimming to me, that there's something about the rhythm, that the rhythm of swimming kind of settles your nervous system, and
that makes sense.
Yeah, and moving through water.
Yes,
sort of just
very calming.
I find sometimes that transition time of just, you know, I think almost the opposite for me is I feel really weird when someone I know comes to watch me give a speech.
Oh my gosh. I would too.
It just feels, because there's just a way you have to kind of step into a bigger energy. And I feel like, I don't know, I'm embarrassed. That's not who I am.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just feels weird to me.
I would feel that, I mean, public speaking is my worst fear ever. I don't know how you do it.
Well, I learned, I went and I took a training from these amazing people in London who their whole mission, AGL is the company, and they helped me find my authentic voice because I knew what I didn't want. I knew I did not want someone to write something for me and then teach me how to. I knew something had to come from me.
Yeah.
And so I needed help in figuring out how to pull that out of me. And they gave me a lot of self-confidence too. And then I worked with someone who had been in theater on delivery, because the way you know, like in your head, there's in my head how I would think I was communicating with my body or my tone. And then there's reality, and the chasm was pretty big between the two. So I just felt like like you, I was like, I don't want to make a fool of myself. I haven't done this before. Yeah. So, and I feel that way when I'm, you know, doing I just over prepare for everything because I'm always afraid of fucking up. So my cheat sheet here.
No, it's good. And there needs to be more accepted, like, or just, it shouldn't be embarrassing to have a thing, have something in front of you. Like, it is so normal. I feel like we're all so expected to be there and have it come out of our brains, when in reality, if you don't have paper, you've memorized it. Right. So it's like, just normalize, having your safety
just
little
not
things.
Being perfect. Right?
Yeah. Well, that's what normalizing imperfection is. More.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's always something I'm trying to balance in myself, of just that. I think it's trying to find the balance of showing up authentically, but also, for me, it's dealing with my PTSD and sort of like, what do I need to do in order to show up? Right. How do I show up as much of me as possible, that's here? So it just, it's a weird fucking thing.
Absolutely. It is weird. It's why I act, because it's so scared to be myself. It's way easier to be other people.
I love who you are. Don't say that. Yourself. I know.
In the public eye.
Right. I get it. Like, I know what you mean.
To be on camera as someone else is way easier than to be on camera,
Yeah. No, I get it. I totally get it. Now, in your personal life, you and your boyfriend on Tell Me Lies is also your boyfriend in real life.
Yes.
Okay.
very twisted.
Yeah. Another twisted tale.
Another twisted tale.
And so what's the engagement like for both of you when you're out in the public eye or on social media, if you even read that stuff, of just people's sort of parasocial relationship? It's like the parasocial relationship that can happen with just an actor, but when you're a couple, what is that like for both of you?
It's pretty funny. It's like, I think by fans, we're really seen as like real people, like we are our characters for fans that watch the show. I think it just, I don't know if it's the show that makes it, because these people are so horrible to each other, and it really has a feeling of like reality TV.
Right.
It's very juicy and very we're doing horrible things that people can relate to, but they're also like the worst things you can imagine.
Yeah.
And so the fans are really visceral about it.
Okay.
And people really hate Jackson's character, Steven. And so out in the world, it's really fun. Like, people will ask us to take a picture and be like, I love you to me and I fucking hate you to you. or like in the beginning when people didn't know that we were dating yet, they'd see us on the street and people would yell at me like, get away from him, or
my gosh,
run. And so it was like very visceral and crazy. I think it's harder for Jackson because I see him be like, he does not want to, like desperately doesn't want to be seen. Yes,
at the opening,
at the premiere.
He's such a sweet energy.
He's such a sweet, gentle soul. And he's just like, he has a harder time being seen as that guy.
Right.
Because people don't know the difference, which is, you would think they do, but I think, I don't know if it's the show that breeds that, like the energy of the show, or people, it's a young audience, so maybe that's it. But yeah, being on the street, but it's also, there's something so beautiful and exciting about going through this together.
That's interesting.
Being recognized together, and it's kind of it's a huge moment for both of us in our careers, and to have each other not only just like as a partner going through it, but as a partner going through the same thing.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
It has been really special.
Were you guys nervous about crossing the line?
Well, we were dating before we started filming.
Okay.
So
I don't know the love story. So.
We were dating a couple months before we started filming. So and even throughout those months, we were like, this is probably the worst idea ever. But you can't help it. You can't help love. So we did it, and we thank goodness it worked out.
Were you dating before you guys auditioned for the did you audition as a couple, or? No. Okay.
No, we met doing the series of chemistry reads.
Oh, wow.
And he had done all of them, and then we started, we had mutual friends, and we started hanging out like that, and he had not gotten the job yet.
Okay.
So it was months of him not knowing if he was going to do it or not, which we were talking about. We're like, we don't know what's better, if you do get it or if you don't get it. And then he got it. So we were dating for months before actually filming. And it was definitely a conversation of like, let's not flaunt this, but let's not hide it.
Right.
Like, real life is more important than what we're doing. And, we didn't want to think too hard about it.
Right.
But we just wanted to be professional.
Well, I think there's so many couples, right, where both of the people are in the public eye, and they're both actors. And I think it's so interesting to see the wide range of, some people who they're just, okay, we're going to let it all hang out.
Advertise it.
Right. The whole thing. And then there are people, you don't even know they're dating until all of a sudden you're like, oh, they got married. What?
Right.
So there's that piece of it. I mean, I guess I've dated some public people. Not that way, but I mean, there was, I don't know. We're not going to count that.
Of course.
Post 98, I have dated some public people. Let's go there. And I have just always been like really, really private.
Yeah.
I'd be super open with my friends, but I'm just very...
Of course. I prefer that as well.
Reclaiming is brought to you by Peloton. We all know the holidays can feel a little overwhelming. Well, let me tell you about something that's about to make your life easier. The new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus. This thing is seriously next level, thanks to something called Peloton IQ. Picture having this really smart workout buddy right in your home. It's correcting your form, counting your reps, suggesting weights, basically taking all the guesswork out of your workout. Plus, there's this amazing swivel screen that just changes everything. If you're feeling like a run, great. Want to hop off and do some strength training? Just spin the screen around and boom, you're ready to go. It's that simple. The coolest part might be how it gets to know you. Peloton IQ creates a personal workout roadmap based on your goals and sets you up with instructors who match your energy. Need someone to fire you up? Done. Prefer a more chill vibe? They've got that too. Let yourself run, lift, flow, and go. Explore the new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com. I'm going to read this quote that you talk about that in Back to One, the Filmmaker Magazine podcast. I loved that something you said about always seeking to reclaim that younger part of yourself.
Yes.
And so you said, right, the self-consciousness that kicks in. And so from before you learn to seek that validation, you said, free from the filter of the outside world. So what have you sort of found there to be most helpful in that?
I feel like I'm on a constant mission to like reclaim my inner child, whether that's through art or how I see the world, positivity, how I connect with people. I just think the most valuable part that I've taken from that, from my inner child, is like just, I think, the lack of self-consciousness, which is so, it's the hardest thing to do. And I'm constantly insecure about things and self-conscious. But when I'm acting, at least, to like shed that as much as possible.
Right.
And because it is not me, get rid of that fear of what people are going to think of me, and know that I'm not, if I'm being judged, it's not, I'm not being judged. It's how I'm playing the character, or whatever that is. People are going to have opinions no matter what. But me, Grace, I'm not being judged for what I decide to do in this character. So you might as well just go for it.
Right.
And I think it's important to feel embarrassed in the process and feel like, I think that has helped me. I felt embarrassed so much playing Amanda.
Okay.
But I knew I was doing it right.
Yeah.
And you know what helped me is knowing that I don't think, she has not told me this, but from observing her in the world, she does not seem embarrassed.
No.
She does not seem self-conscious.
No.
Like, she is so purely herself.
Yeah.
Unabashedly herself.
Yes.
And I learned so much from that. And it's like, that's what I feel like every character, like any qualities I love in characters I play, I like steal them. I try and steal them. And that is a quality that, like, to be so purely yourself, unafraid to be yourself.
Right.
And not feel embarrassment.
Yeah.
I'm like, God, I would love to have that. And I really tried to channel that while I was playing her. If that meant while I was saying the lines, but also when I was trying something crazy, and just accept that I might feel like a fool and embarrassed, but that's okay.
Right, because she's like Amelie, she's sort of looking for the joy, I think, in every moment.
Yeah,
you know,
and there's there's a beautiful unawareness. Sounds bad, but there's an unawareness to, like, which I wish I had. Or like, I'm going to be myself, and it's not like I don't care what people think.
Right.
It's just,
you're just focused on being, you're not thinking about who other people want you to be.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. It's interesting because that quote had reminded me of, I have a friend who's a photographer, and he did a whole series where he went to Africa and brought these enormous mirrors and would put the mirrors out in the on safari or in the jungle.
Yeah.
I don't know the right way to say it. And what he captured was what it was like for the animals to see themselves for the first time, you know, in that. And so
that's so cool.
Yeah, isn't it? And so this whole thing around consciousness, self-consciousness, like awareness of the self, of just thinking about what does that mean to sort of see yourself, and I know with kids, and I remember there was a whole thing in developmental psychology where they talked about, I think it's like when kids up until the age of 3, they don't
recognize themselves.
And so if you put red lipstick on a kid's nose and stick them in front of the mirror,
they don't know it's them.
Right. Like it's crazy make.
That's why peekaboo, they crack up because when you hide, they actually think you're gone.
Yeah, exactly.
Until you're back. It's facial recognition or something.
Facial recognition and is it theory of mind?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Something like that. I don't know.
The concept of like time.
And just, right. And space, right? If you put something in the shelf and the cabinet and they can't see it, it's gone.
It's gone.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's just interesting. I think there is that. I hear a lot on the show when we talk. I'll ask you the last question when we get there. We're not there yet, but we're asking people about what they're working on reclaiming. And a lot of people, it's sort of this sense of, that childhood, that inner child abandonment to joy, just like that.
Well, that is my answer too.
Right. Yeah.
But I guess I can expand on it.
Well, we're not there yet.
Okay.
But I just wanted to, well, it's just interesting because you're one of the, if not the youngest, one of the younger guests we've had on so far.
Really?
And so,
That's cool.
And so I'm just curious about your perspective, just on where we are in the world of, like romantic relationships and MeToo. Where do you see all that shifting, or do you see it shifting from your perspective in your generation? And that's a pretty big question.
Yeah. I mean, I do think without a doubt with single people, with people who are in relationships, there's just so much more of an open conversation about awareness and consent and accountability, and I think that's a huge plus. I also think women are going into relationships knowing what they deserve and don't deserve. There's an empowerment to having that line be a little thicker of what you don't cross over, and I think there's just a sense of knowing what you deserve, and I think that's amazing. Yeah.
I was on a women's listserv for a while, and during in 2017 and 18, sort of Me Too 2.0, and it was really fascinating to kind of see in this, one place in black and white, on the screen of different generations' reactions to, to what was happening. Of I'm Gen X, but some of the boomers and even silent generation women on the thread who were very much like, just deal with it. Like, this is what we dealt with. And Gen X and kind of, maybe some of the older millennials of metabolizing everything and really relensing so many of our own experiences. And then the younger generations who there was a sense of course, this is how this should be. Of course, this is how it should be changing. Right. That, like, what are you talking about? Yeah. And sometimes the clashes of having very different views on those things. I think one of the things that we've seen with Amanda's show, with Twisted Tale, with impeachment, with some of the, Britney Spears documentaries, a whole bunch of these stories, and revisiting young women's stories that have been consumed by the media, consumed by the public. Yeah. Do you think that because I get asked this a lot, so I'm curious from your perspective and generation, do you think if some of those stories, those things unfolded today, that they would be viewed in the same way? Do you think they would be different? Like, would we have those kinds of stories and scandals like that again today, do you think?
I would love to hear what you have to say about this as somebody who went through it and know it and thinking how it would be different for you. But I guess what would be an advantage and a disadvantage is how social media amplifies everything. And with that, there are millions of other voices and potential noise for a scandal like that to happen, meaning like there will be so many opinions floating around. Yeah. But also so many voices that can support. Like, I think it would create it's just a stronger sense of support, and that could be really beneficial.
Yeah.
Because it's not just, we're not seeing these things play out solely on the news. There's so many different outlets and conversation. I think it would be more of a conversation.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. I agree with, I think, everything you've said. I wonder too, I think there could have been the benefits of social media for exactly what you're just saying, and some detriments, right? But I also think it might allow people to be seen in context more, because there's almost more, like I think about until the tapes came out or the Star Report came out and my emails and all sorts of, it was like my yearbook, my senior yearbook collage page that defined me, right? Or whatever, people sort of would do these we called them blue dot interviews, that it was like they'd go on TV and give an interview on, I can't even remember now, some of the like terrible gossipy entertainment shows, and they'd have a blue dot to hide to stay anonymous. And so it was just, you were just not defined in the same way and understood in the same way. And I think it would definitely be different. The scandals would be shorter. I don't think the attention span would be there. The appetite would be there for such a big thing. And then I also feel too, I don't know if the situation, like in my case, I think that if it were still a young, charismatic, democratic president, I don't know exactly how different it would be. I think it would be different. And I think there would be a lot more voices of support. I don't think you would see, like, there was a round table of women who were interviewed in The Observer, which I don't even think exists anymore, early on, that it just said awful thing after awful thing. And I don't think even any of those women, including Erica Jong, thought that they were, even thought about what they were saying about me as a woman. I think to them it was, there's the good and right kind of woman, and I was not that. So I almost didn't matter in that way. So I don't think you would have something like that anymore. You might have comments like that from people, but I think it would be different.
That behavior wouldn't be as front and center.
Right. Agreed.
It'd be in the sidelines, in the comments, in, people being...
And I think too, abuse of power was like in 1998, abuse of power was really only thought of in a professional setting. Like when it came to the White House, I think abuse of power, people thought about Watergate, or someone acting, espionage or any, those
legal
sorts of, right. And so I think this idea of understanding abuse of power in a relationship, abuse of power in a relational situation in the workplace was just, that was really not there.
Right.
It's not there. We didn't have the language for it. We didn't have the understanding for it.
Yeah.
So I do think those things, would be different. But part of the storytelling I like to do, both with impeachment, or I EP'd a documentary called 15 Minutes of Shame. I was just talking about last night, because now cancel culture has sort of been back, in the zeitgeist. And that's what the doc was on. And also with why I was interested in Twisted Tale and Amanda's story was, how do we take these things that happen that are unimaginable to survive, that people somehow survive, and how do we try to lessen the intensity or the likelihood that it happens to someone else, again. And that felt important, both with Amanda as a young person. And I think, I don't know how you felt about this with the show, but really exciting to me in a way of awakening people to certain things that happen in the justice system. And this, and this idea of, coerced confessions exist. That's a thing. There's a method. Right. And people who watch this show may be sitting on a jury one day, and it may make them reevaluate something or look at something a little more critically.
That's very true.
And that the ripple effect of that is really interesting to me. you know?
Yeah, because there's also, I guess I'm thinking of this now because I assume the audience, because this was such a national story, that majority of the audience are going in with the preconceived, oh, she's innocent, oh, she's guilty. But I didn't think about all the people younger than me who have no idea who she is, going in with a completely open mind.
Yeah.
And can only be taught about, you know, they're not going in with a bias. They're going in like with every step of the way being like, and probably paying more attention to detail,
right,
as opposed to somebody who's already kind of,
well, it was, I mean, that's in many ways I think what happened for me with the younger generations when I stepped back out publicly in 2014 and wrote a first person essay, and it was the younger generations kind of coming to my story with just the facts, ma'am. You know, it was like, wait, what?
Right.
You know, the youngest, least powerful person suffered the worst consequences. Like that doesn't.
They couldn't fathom.
Right. And so they
it.
forced the older generations to reevaluate my story, your generation and younger. So, you know, I'm very grateful
really cool.
to all of you for that. So it's interesting. So we kind of touched on it a little, but the last question I ask everybody is if there's anything you are currently working on reclaiming. Could be a place, a part of your identity, anything.
I feel like now I'm repeating myself, but it is really true that I am always on a mission to reclaim my inner child. I really decided or realized that it was a part of myself that I want to keep forever and always reintroduce to myself when my little sister was born and I was 15. And like watching her grow up at an age where I was, you know, just old enough to realize that that's a baby. And I had fear I'd never had like a motherly instinct for a child before, obviously. And watching her like experience Christmas for the first time or like events or losing her first tooth or whatever, when I had been at an age where I was so over that, I was like getting over those things, and Christmas was like less magical to me. And seeing how magic life was to her really inspired me through life, through acting, being so inspired by her unself-consciousness and like trust for people, which I've had a hard time with. So I think, just reclaiming that part of myself and reminding myself to like tap into that as much as I can.
Where do you think the broken trust issues
It's really interesting because it's I've been trying to figure this out because nothing terrible happened to me that I was like, I can't trust anybody again. I think it was like, that was more in high school when I think it was because I was very fearful of my emotions because I knew I had very big ones. Yeah. And until I started acting and going to therapy and had been in serious relationships that forced me to like communicate. It was scary, but it really was until then that I like allowed myself to feel everything. Yeah. And I think that guard probably comes from a time in my life where I was protecting myself. It was out of self-protection, not protecting myself from other people, but protecting myself from myself and my own emotions. And acting really helped me with that. And so I think that's probably where it comes from. And when I feel the most like my inner child, I just feel the most happy. The most inspired, the most creative, the most confident.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for doing this. This was so wonderful.
I love that. It was so fun.
Okay, good. Did it feel like when we're
At the bungalows?
Exactly.
Eating zucchini chips?
Exactly.
Oh, we should have had zucchini chips.
I know. We will.
Next time.
I owe you zucchini chips.
Okay.
How's that?